We are we live, E.
All right, all right. I can't hear the music on your end, though.
Did you say you couldn't hear the music?
Now I can.
All right, well, there we go. Let's do that again. This season 2. Let's do it again. All right. We are live. Yeah. Money Sex Gen X.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Season 2. What's cracking, E?
What is going on, man? How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I have a little story about that track, man.
Yeah, because I'm going to dive into the intro, but I want to ask you a specific question about that. We welcome everybody to the Money Sex Gen X podcast. This is season 2, episode number 3. It is me, Eric McLoyd, your host with the most, the man with the plan, the Scotty Pippen of podcast pimping.
Yes, indeed, you are.
And I am here with, and I didn't like how I did your intro last week, so I'm really trying to do this a lot better. So I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend, a professor in more than one classroom, the titan of teen tech.
Big. You rocked me out. You rocked me out.
What's going on, brother? How you doing this Sunday?
Man? I'm good, man. I'm really, really good, man. I have nothing to complain about whatsoever, man. So super good, man.
Good. Now, how about you? I wanted to ask you about we were talking a little bit before we got started about the intro song, and I was like, man, why can't we hear it a little bit longer? You said you had a story about that.
Yeah, man. Shout out to DJ Age, AGE, 9-year-old DJ Age.
Okay.
She's my niece's daughter. I don't even know what that is relationally.
Your niece's daughter. Okay. DJ Age, AGE. Okay.
Yeah, she's from Minnesota.
Okay.
Up there about where it goes down at.
Okay.
But the story is, so my niece hit me up. It was like, yo, my baby girl make beats. She got something she wants you to hear. And I'm like, great. You know, she knows I dabble in that space a little bit. And I'm like, great, no problem. What's happening? Let me hear it. So I heard it. The first time I heard it, I was like, Then I went back and I listened to it again. I was like, wait a minute, this beat is kind of dope. And I'm like, 9? I'm like, she's 9?
Yeah.
So I was like, I want to use it on the track. I'll use it on the intro for the show. Blah, blah, blah. We could give it some exposure. And she was like, cool. So they were going to get back to me. Finally got back together. I get on the phone with DJ Age. And I'm like, yo, I really like the track. I think we could do something with it. And she's like, all right, cool. She was like, but I was like, I heard you want to get paid for using the track on your show. And I was like, listen, we really don't pay people to be on our show. People pay us to be on our show, right? You know. So I was like, let me entertain you. I was like, how much do you want to get paid for this track? And out of the mouth of babes, 9-year-old DJ Age says, $1. I said, $1?
Wow.
I said, $1?
Okay.
And then she said, $50. I said, wait a minute, DJ Age. Wait a minute. I was like, how'd you go from $1 to $50? She's like, I don't know. I'm just making up numbers. I was like, so before I pay you, do you have your ass cap? Do you have your BMI? She's like, what? And I was like, look, I'm gonna do you a solid. We're gonna put you on the show. We're gonna make your music part of the intro show and watch what happens.
Yeah.
Just watch what happens. Yeah. It's gonna far exceed $1, $50. I got you. So that's the story, man. Okay. And I did wind up sending her a little something, a little package. Like, let this be a little sign of encouragement. This is not for the track. This is just, I want to encourage you to keep doing what you're doing, young DJ Age. Please. Big Uncle, I think that's my niece as well. I don't know. Big Unc got you. Big Unc got you. So shout out to 9-year-old DJ Age, making beats out of Minnesota, came through in the clutch for us, man.
Very talented, very talented. That's why it's so important to do the knowledge and stuff, because I thought you were going to say that DJ Age wanted $10,000 or $50,000. You know what I mean? Like, I really did. I was thinking, I'm like, wow, we can't. You know, right now it might be a little tough, but that's good. She wanted $1, then she wanted 50, but you worked it out. It's good. It's good.
She didn't know what she wanted.
Yeah. Well, she's definitely talented. I can't wait to hear some more of her work.
We got her, man. We got her for sure.
No doubt. And we definitely needed a new intro track, so that came through just in time. So, sir, how have you been doing this week? How was your week? Was it good, bad, or worse?
It was a great week, man. Life is good, man. I mean, because I'm an extreme optimist, life is good. So very rarely do I wake up complaining about the day. So but I had a good week, man. I was able to make some things move in the business a little bit, gave me some hope and optimism. But less about me, more about you. How was your week? How was your week, brother?
My week was not great. I am also an optimist. This is one of those challenging weeks. I made it through. I had a couple of situations in the real estate world that I was trying to navigate through. Okay. It didn't go as planned. And this is one of those tough ones. I did a lot of meditation this week, a lot of self-reflection, I like to do my nature walks in the morning.
Yeah.
So I rely heavily on that this week. But not the greatest week, but I'm looking forward to next week. I think it'll be better.
All right. I want to shout out my man, Steve Webb. What's up, Webb? I don't know why your comments aren't posting up here, but they should be. But I just want to say, what's up, Webb, in the building. I see you on the live. I'm sorry that your week didn't go as you would have liked with your nature walk and the real estate deal. But hopefully we can hit reset with the show today.
All good. Yes, sir. Love, hella right. It's going to be all good, and we're going to figure it out. But, yeah, this show is going to be therapy for me, so I'm looking forward to diving in. So we have this very intriguing topic of why don't fathers get the same respect as mothers? But before we dive into that, I'm going to pay a few bills. This episode is powered by Nelson Career Curators. Nelson Career Curators can be found online at nelsoncareercurators.com. This is a great company if you are trying to advance in your career, or if you're a business owner who's looking for some executive coaching. They have a whole suite of services that are extremely pivotal for many individuals. I like this company because when I was younger, I didn't even know that you could strategically manage your career with the help of another professional. So that's a great value add.
Shout out to Nelson Career Curators.
NelsonCareerCurators.com. Yes. So, today our topic is why don't fathers get the same respect as mothers? And I guess some people might say, well, are you making an assumption that they don't get the same respect? What would you say about that title? It seems like we're making a bit of an assumption.
We are making an assumption. Historically speaking, fathers get dissed, particularly in the Black community. A lot of fathers get dissed, and I think we're assuming just comparing Mother's Day to Father's Day alone. And so I think it's a worthy conversation, brother.
Okay.
And I really want to know the answer. I'm a father. Are you a father?
I am a father of 2 children. Yes, I am, and I have definitely felt this topic many times.
Yeah.
And the thing with me is, I feel like I've probably been more honest about it with myself in recent years. I think I've always felt this way, but I think as I've gotten a little bit older, I've been more willing to voice that I feel this way.
Mm-hmm.
What about you? Have you ever voiced that, or has it just been an internal dialogue?
No, I've kept quiet about it. So let me first shout out all the mothers out there. And I think this is even part of it. Like, I recognize that moms carry the child first, right? So I have no idea what it's like to be pregnant.
Truly.
And so I definitely give hats off to that first and foremost every time. Okay.
Yes.
And so this is no knock to that birthing process.
No, it is not.
Right. And so once the child is here, I've pretty much kept quiet. I've pretty much kept this conversation to myself internally. But now we got a platform to talk about it. Let's talk about it. What do you believe leads to why fathers don't get the same respect as mothers? So what are some of the things that you come up with?
Well, some of the things I came up with are some of the things. One of the things that you just said, if women are carrying the child in their womb for 9 months, sometimes maybe a little bit less. So I would imagine that biologically there's a chemical connection that exists that the father just cannot replicate.
Right.
Like you said, we're not doing that biologically. So the child is with the mother way before they're with us in terms of like this in a biological sense. But even emotionally too. I mean, the child is feeling the emotions of the mother and from the external environment also, but definitely feeling the emotions of the mother.
And I think that ties into why no matter who the mom is, children long for their mothers because of that connection.
Sure.
But I do not want to skirt around the fact that if it weren't for our sperm connecting with that egg, that child wouldn't. And of course, anybody can provide the sperm. But if it weren't for our sperm, that child wouldn't be here.
That's very true.
And I think that part gets dissed, underplayed.
It does. Yeah, definitely bringing forth life, and that's very important. Now, you could tell me how you feel about it. The way I wanted to approach this conversation is to start out with some of the more obvious reasons why this could be the case, right? The fact that a father might not get the same respect as mothers. And then I want to really get into our side of it, so to speak. Okay. Right. So yes, the biological piece, we got it. There's an emotional makeup difference between men and women.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So obviously we're not going to respond to our children emotionally, probably the same way that the mother would.
Mm-hmm.
In most cases. I mean, I've seen a lot of different cases, but typically there's a difference.
What do you mean? Give me an example of that.
Well, we know that typically women think about things differently. They're tuned into things just naturally that we may not be tuned into as a man. Most men look at things in a different way than a woman would. And I think emotionally, a lot of times women are able to pick up on things sometimes that we may not. I don't want to make a blanket statement, but we may not always be able to pick up on with children. What do you think about that?
Okay, no, go ahead. You gave me. Thank you.
So
okay.
we're not arguing that. Okay, so good. We got that. So I was trying to do some actual research on this this week I did some research because I was trying to find some stats, but it was hard because we're using this word respect, which, you know, that's a loaded word. But in some of these forums, I saw that this question was posed, and a lot of women just said flat out, the answer to the reason why fathers get less respect is because mothers just simply do more for the child.
Damn.
Than the fathers do. And I was like, wow, that's presumptive. Okay, you know, yeah, okay, I get it. And a lot of these people were very strong, and they're like, yeah, why are you looking around for all these answers? We do more, so of course we would get more respect.
So hold on, I want to pause right there, because one of the things that I thought about coming into this show, and I think about that, you know, I've heard people, and I'm out for the gusto today, people. I've heard people talk about male ego.
Yeah.
I have an opinion about female ego. I have an opinion about, and I think and many times the woman's ego often exceeds the male ego. You know, women are out to prove everything and everybody wrong, to the point where sometimes we as fathers talking about it's hard for a woman to admit when she's wrong or apologize. And I think that a lot of times that has to do with the female ego, even down to wanting and feeling the need to do everything when they don't have to. Like, even the females, a lot of females don't even like asking for help. They'd rather do it themselves than sit and, you know, recognize that they're doing it all and not appreciating nor accepting the help that is available. And their go-to statement in a lot of cases is, well, why do I have to ask you? You know what I need.
Fascinating.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I don't think I've ever even had a conversation before about the female ego.
It's not talked about. How dare you?
Yeah.
But I think it's, you know, ego is not just, it's not just masculine. It's not just male. Everybody has ego. And I think there's a huge competition. And I don't, you know, yeah, there's a huge competition to how well women can hold it down. You know, and I'm not, you know, if I had to get up, if I was a single mom, I'm talking to single moms right now. If I was a single mom with more than one child, and I've seen this play out, that had to go to work and had to get the kids to school, I think it hats off to all the single moms that get up at the crack of dawn, get their multiple children ready for school, walk to the bus stop, get their kids to school, go to work, get off work, go pick up their kids to school, and go home and do what they can to provide for their kids, and do it all over again on public transportation. I know I'm not built for that. I know I'm not built for that. But I think, you know, it's part ego, it's part competition. You know, there are a lot of super women out there. And I think that's part of the female ego. Argue with me, challenge me, tell me I'm wrong, tell me I'm stupid, tell me I'm an idiot for these comments, people. Put something in the chat. Do you agree with what I'm saying? Is there such thing as female ego that doesn't even allow for men, fathers, men to help? What do you think?
No doubt. This is episode 3 of the Money Sex Gen X podcast. We, you know, get in those comments today. We really need that feedback, because I'm still want to get back into this female ego thing. I see you coming out blazing today. And that's great.
Man, I'm on fire, brother.
Yeah, I love that. So we're going to really get into this. So the female ego is such that in many cases, you're saying they are in a mode of competition. They may be in a mode of, I'm going to just be superwoman and do it myself, even though I may not have to. And because in society, we have this image that there's so many single women that are just holding it down and doing everything, it has created this attitude of, I'm going to just do what I got to do. I'm going to do what I got to do because I feel like I have to, even though you're saying that may not be the case.
I'm gonna do what I have to just to prove that I don't need you.
Just to prove you don't need that man. Okay. I got that. So we've established a couple of things in term on the female side. Okay. So what I want to get to now is, and I'm really keen on words. So the title is Why Don't Fathers Get the Same Respect? What do we mean when we use the word respect in this conversation? What are we talking about?
Right.
So we're saying that there's an inequality here. There's no equality. Both parents aren't getting the same thing. And in this instance, we're talking about respect. When I'm saying respect, I'm talking about the same regard for the things that they are contributing to the child. That's what I mean by that.
Had a little technical difficulties here.
Yeah, we're back.
Okay.
I got cut off, but I was just saying that when I use the word respect in this question, I'm thinking about getting the same regard for whatever it is you're contributing to the child.
Yeah.
We may not feel that there's an equality. So say I take the kid to school and the mother takes the kid to school. In the kid's mind, they hold in higher regard that mom took them to school than dad, as an example.
Yeah.
What do you mean when you say that? Respect.
Just appreciating the efforts. Just appreciating the efforts that the fathers provide. Like the respect in terms of acknowledgement. Just that.
Okay. Acknowledgement.
Just respect in terms of that. Acknowledgement.
So you are saying, so if you're saying acknowledgement, that's a great way to frame it. So I can certainly relate to that. So let's talk about this. I want to get into this because I wanted this to be a very honest conversation. So I've done this myself as a child. I have a very good relationship with my mother. I have a father. He has done quite a bit, and I know for a fact that I did not necessarily view my father's contribution, not even necessarily, I did not view my father's contributions in the same manner that I view my mother's.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this, they definitely had very different contributions, but they still weren't viewed, and I didn't appreciate my father's contributions fully until I became a father.
How did you view his contributions?
Disregarded.
So what did you see?
I feel like my vision was clouded by his relationship with my mother. You know what I mean? It's like, because I might not have liked what he said to my mother in certain instances or different things that he did, that erased everything else that he did. I only focused on that.
Do you come from the generation where it's like, do you come from the space of kids are to, did you talk to your dad? Did you and your dad sit down and talk and chop it up?
Chop it. Did we chop it up?
When you were young, at 9, at 9, 10, 11.
Chopped it like that. I mean, we were together. He would.
Yeah.
There, of course, it's probably not as much as I would have liked, but we were around each other. But like, I didn't get that deep. Let's chop it up and who are you dating? And I didn't get to. We didn't have that kind of relationship. You know what I mean? So I would have to say no. We didn't chop it up. No.
And I got more of. I knew that my dad was the breadwinner. I knew that he brought home the money. I knew that. I very rarely saw my parents argue. When I was younger, I definitely remember us doing family things, but I knew that my dad was the breadwinner, and he had a lot of. He was the puppet master. I knew that he behind the scenes was responsible for everything that was going down.
Wow.
In the house.
Okay.
I knew that.
Okay.
But it was always mom was the executioner.
Yeah.
So she did it all. But only at the hands of Pops making sure that she was able to do it all.
Right.
So groceries, Mom went grocery shopping, but I knew that money came from Pops. The bills, I knew Mom was paying the bills, but I knew that money came from Pops.
Right.
It was always go with your mom. You take the kids. Right. He wasn't going to sit around, and he wasn't babysitting or watching kids unless it was Mom was definitely doing something with a bunch of women.
Right.
Then it was like, nah, you don't need to be over there with all them women. Come on, you can stay here with me.
Yeah.
But he wasn't going to be he wasn't just hanging out with the kids because he was busy providing.
Right.
Being a provider, whatever that meant.
Right.
As long and it really turned into, look, if I'm paying for everything, if I'm paying for this all, if I'm funding all of this, then I don't have to worry about the kids.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I was in a similar situation. I definitely knew my dad was the primary breadwinner. In terms of like day-to-day responsibilities, though, I saw a lot of different dynamics. I mean, I've seen my father cook, my mother. I've seen my father wash clothes. My mother, they would go back and forth on that type of stuff, depending on where they were at that time in their relationship.
Okay.
But I noticed that you and I are the same in the sense that we have spent a lot of time watching our children and interacting with them. And I wonder, and this is kind of off to the side, but I wonder if that's because we didn't feel like our fathers did that enough with us.
Yeah, I think so.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so we go extra overboard. Maybe overboard is not the right word, but we're so concerned about, no, I want to help take care of my child and watch them and all of that.
Yeah. Even to the point today of just making sure that, my lady, definitely has the space to go and be without the kids. Like, I'll hold them down for the whole day. I got this. Like, and not worry about it. Like, I don't mind washing dishes. I don't mind doing laundry, because that's very different than how I was raised. And I don't know what the long-term effects of that will be. I don't know if it'll bite me in the ass later or what, but I know that I want to make sure that she has that opportunity to be available for whatever it is she's doing without having to have her hands full with the kids. And it's a lot of foolishness happening out here, and I don't need her going to the grocery store having 2-3 kids or two, and worrying about hopping in and out of cars and strapped. It's like, nah, just if you need to run out, go handle your business so you can be aware. That's, for me, that's a part of protection.
Right.
You don't need your hands that full. Like, nah, go handle your business. I got it. Come on back,
Yeah. Yeah, I respect that. That's very noble. I'm the same way. I've done that in all of my relationships. Never had a problem with it. It's cool.
Yeah.
But what I wonder is this though. So we've done these things and we continue to do them. Is it truly appreciated and respected though by
that's the
child?
part. That's the part. By the child?
Yeah.
Now that part I don't know. I can't answer that. I don't have the answer to that. I want to before we dig into that, but before we go into the child, let's dig in a little bit more based on what we're saying. So and I really want to hear from the people and maybe they'll comment on this later or send us their responses at a later time. Send us your response to this. I really want to know why mothers are so quick to diss the fathers. I really want to know what the thought process is. Is it that you feel like we don't do enough? Is it that we don't stress, we make it look easy, some of us? Or is it that men that, are not making it look easy? Men are fumbling the ball. So it's like, get out the way. Is it that men are just, these fathers are just incapable of handling, their children as well as the mothers? Is it that? Or is it going back to the proverbial umbilical cord that just exists between mother and child? I'm really interested in knowing the answer to this question.
Yeah, I mean, for my answer on it would be, just from my experience, I think that absence definitely makes the heart grow fonder. So the more involved you are, the more subject you're going to be to scrutiny. And that's just what I believe how it works, because I believe if you did less, you might be held in higher regard, because when you do less, it's appreciated more when you actually do something. Say we were the type of dads that we didn't really come around but once a month, and then we took the kid for that weekend for that once a month. And the kid, they will be so excited by that and so elated. But if you're there every day, they're not even thinking about that on a day-to-day basis. Like, well, you always here. Like, I'm just looking for what didn't he do? You know what I mean? And I just think that's how it works.
I wish you could say that. That part is definitely going to be a clip. Being available. Then women start to take the men for granted, and it's like, well, what didn't you do? Because you're always there. So let me point out what went wrong.
Exactly.
So maybe some of us should pull back a little bit. And so then I also want to hear from some of the fathers out there. Are you pulling your weight? Like, and what does it mean to pull your weight as a father? Like, is it just provide the money? Or what else is it? What's the need for women to say, you know what, you fathers, or the father of my child, at least, let me give them credit where credit is due?
Yeah, and that gets into something else I wanted to touch on before I forget, that I think is important. To answer your question about why the mothers might not give you the respect or see things the way you want them to, some of it I think comes down to you may not be doing things the way that they are doing them, or the way that they want you to do it. Mm-hmm. So you're in the game, you're in the mix, you're doing this and that, but you're not doing it how they want you to do it. And that becomes problematic, because you just might have a different philosophy on how to address certain things that's different from the mother. But in the mother's mind, they're like, nah, you're not really on that, because you're not doing it right.
So are you suggesting, that there might be some internal competition between mother and father?
Competition, yeah. I think there's some. I think bigger than that, though, bigger than the competition is just a standard. The standards are different. You got a certain standard for how I should be communicating with the child, or what I should be having the child eat or do or say or whatever. And that standard is different from yours. As long as I just feel like both standards will have to be respected.
Yeah.
You shouldn't disqualify the other parent because they have different standards.
A different way of approaching the same problem.
Different philosophy, different method, so if competition, sure. I think competition is a current in every part of our society. I mean, you and I could be competing right now secretly, and we don't even acknowledge. You know what I mean? Like, it's just something that's built into the fabric of human psychology to compete on every level. So yeah, I think it's part of it.
Okay. All right.
Absolutely.
All right. You also wanted to talk about how this might be affecting the kids, how the kids might respond to this.
True indeed. This is the Money, Sex, Gen X podcast, episode 3. Why don't fathers get the same respect as mothers? Give us some feedback about what your experience. We'd like to hear from the mothers and the fathers. We definitely want to hear from the fathers, but we do want to hear from the mothers also. We just want to hear why the respect is not the same, and how do you feel about that word respect in the first place? But yeah, so then you get into the actual children, right? So if your kids are little, I feel like they give you more respect when you're little than when they get into those preteen, teenage years. What has your experience been with that?
Oh yeah, I remember, man. I like to hang on the days up until they're about 8, when maybe about between 6 and 8, when you come home and the kids are just running towards you because you're home, dad's home. You could have been, or when you're leaving and they're crying to see you leave, and then when you come home they're excited, and then at some point it stops.
Right. Exactly.
But I love,
Daddy.
yeah, I
It's
love
like,
that.
you don't even see you if you walk in.
Yeah. Now the other piece too, I think that because many times the father is historically been the one that doesn't pull all of the heavy home labor that the mom is doing, being at home with the kids all day. Historically speaking, the father comes home and kind of sweeps the kids up and gets to play with them, and then have all the fun, what it seems like, and then off to bed they go. And so that may cause a little resentment, which leads to that lack of respect
from the kid, from the child.
Oh no. No, not from the kid, but from I don't know. I dip back to the mom piece. From the kids, I don't think the kids even articulate what's happening. It's not about respect. I think it's the same for the kid. I think the kid doesn't care. The kid has no wherewithal to even determine respect. It's mom and dad. They're both the same. Which
okay.
I think it's equal with the kid. I think it's always comes back to the adults in the room that kind of muck it up. You know what I mean?
Okay. That's why I like having these conversations with you, because when I was trying to examine this question for myself, I was really only thinking about it from the perspective of the child.
Oh.
But you've introduced a whole other element, which is an obvious element. I just didn't catch it, which is the respect coming from the mother specifically. So it's like, why doesn't the mother give the father the same respect that they would want, or not even want the same respect as they would feel like they must have?
So all this time we've had this topic planned out. All of our topics are planned out for the rest of this season and have been for months. And I never knew that was the angle from which you were presenting this. You're talking about from the kids.
Yeah, and I never knew you were talking about from the mother.
Come on, man. I love it.
Yeah, that's good.
Keep opening up. Yeah. All right, so look, okay. All right. So
we gotta address we're addressing both, which I love. We're addressing both.
Now that piece I think comes as the kids from the kids piece. I think they don't start weighing it until later. But I honestly believe it all has to do with how the mother projects images of the father. True. Period. Point blank.
Yes, I agree with that.
Period. Point blank.
I agree with that.
And so the part of that conversation that is missed from a very, very young age is the conversations that happen when the kid is little, and adults, mothers, fathers don't think their kids are listening or can understand what they're saying when they say little stuff to their girlfriends on the phone or in company about their dad and what he is or ain't doing, or how he gets, it's like and it's so subtle. This is like, girl, he ain't even and they steadily kind of dissing dad. That as they get older, now they're looking for where dad is screwed up, and it's like, and not because they born with the affinity towards mom anyway.
Right.
That'll never go anywhere. It don't matter what mom does. That you can't break that. You can't break that soul tie. You know what I mean?
Right.
But with dad, because it's projected as dad had very little to do with the process.
Anyway, right.
He had very little. He's a replaceable. We can get another dad. It don't mean, So there is where it's like, well, I don't have to respect you the same. I don't have to give you don't have the same connection. Listen, baby, we got the same DNA. You and I am you. You cannot shake that. But I think that comes from how the mom paints the picture of dad.
I agree with that. And for sure.
Even to the point of saying, girl, if you don't want to talk to your father, you don't have to talk to your father.
Right.
Where dad, I don't know dads that ever, I think dads always say, hey, did you talk to your mom? Hey, did you run it by your mom? Hey, well, moms ain't saying that to the kids.
But see, the thing about that is, I think we deep down, we feel like we have to say, did you talk to your mom?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I felt like that. Like, you need to say, hey, have you talked to your mom? Did you talk to your mom about this? I don't know if you're necessarily doing it just because we're so diplomatic, or if you just like, nah, make sure you talk to your mom because, I don't want no problems.
I think it's like innately we know that that's the Robin's rules of order. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's innate. Like, it's just like innate. We know it. We come from mom. Well, we come from a mother. So mom is, in that respect, she sits at the top of that hierarchical family structure.
Right.
It's like, you got to respect mom, but moms are not, a lot of moms, not all moms, some moms definitely get it right. A lot of moms are not reciprocating that level of respect.
That's right.
That's your father. We're not going to tolerate no disrespect to your father. Right. It comes off a lot of times as you ain't got to, if you don't want to talk to him, you ain't got to talk to him. If you don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. He tripping anyway. It comes off like that. And I don't know if I don't know about any other race. I don't even know about all other people. I just know from my experiences, what I've experienced and what I've seen in my circle.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, because I wanted to key in on a point that you made. It's like you made a point about if the kid is hearing the mother talk about the father, right? And then that changes their opinion or skews it. But on the flip side, children don't really operate like that. If you're talking about their mother, I don't feel like they allow that to change how they view their mother. That's just like, oh, he talking about my mom, you know what I mean? Like, he can talk about her all he wants, but she's still this. I really feel like that's a thing, you know what I mean? It's like, I haven't seen where a father talking bad about the mother necessarily, or it might not even be talking bad. He might have just pointed out something that she did that wasn't right. Everybody makes mistakes. She did something that wasn't right in that moment. For children, a lot of times, they're not really trying to hear that. It's like, well, but if you did the same exact thing, it's like the end of the world. Like, man, you did that and this and that. It's like, yeah, okay, I made a mistake. I'm a parent. I'm not a perfect. I think that you're held to a standard of perfection as a father. And I want to make this distinction too. I've observed different things in different cultures. I think that what we're talking about is more of an American sort of dynamic. I do feel like in African and Caribbean culture, in terms of Black people, the father is held in the highest regard, and that is supported by the mother. Is it 100%? No, and I'm just talking about what I have personally observed. But I think it's a lot different as you move throughout the world.
Yeah. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. That's good talk. Will fathers in Black American fathers, the Black American familial structure, do you ever see it being a level, equitable playing field when it comes to respect between mothers and fathers in Black America?
No.
Damn, why not?
I don't think that equity will take place until the child gets older. Because that's what, and I'm using myself as an example. It was like, when I think about some of the things that I was thinking about my father, now as I'm old, I was like, come on, dude, that was silly. Like, this was a real man. Like, he was holding it down. Was he perfect? No. And he definitely he'll tell you he made a lot of mistakes, but for him to have not been held in the same regard. Now, I'll tell you this, I like my mother better, just as a person. But I'm not talking, because one thing about me, you can't say nothing to me bad about my mother. That's to this day. I don't care who it is. But I'm not talking about I'm talking about respect. I'm talking about like being able to acknowledge what the contributions were, and that those contributions were just as significant as what the mother came to the table with.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, you got to be grown to really get that. Like, especially for young boys, like you got to become a father to really understand that whole dynamic.
Yeah, that's heavy, man. That's heavy. Are your parents still married or?
Absolutely not. They divorced when I was around probably 18, 19.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now my parents divorced when I was about 15. Did you and do you said you like your mother more, but do you have the same level of respect for your dad as you do your mom?
Now I do, yes.
Now you do.
And you know what? You know what's so great? I tell him that too. Like I tell him, hey, I respect you so much more. You know, I'm sorry that I didn't respect you properly when I was younger, but I definitely respect you now fully. You know, I tell him that. And it feels good to be able to even say that.
That's great. That's great. My when my parents divorced, initially, brother, initially I thought it was a good thing. And then I started to build some resentment when things weren't going my way. And initially I didn't like my dad's responses to certain things. But it took me a while. It took me a while to learn how to respect my dad. It took me a while. I had to mature. I had to mature. I had to learn. I had to understand the dynamics of a relationship. I didn't know what it took to relation. And I learned that it took a lot of courage. It took a lot of courage for my dad to make the decision. Although I don't like how he did it, and I don't like the reasons he used to do it. But it took a lot of courage to say, you know what? I'm going to make a change for my life to I want to do something different for my life. So once I learned the importance of that, man, and then I learned to respect I learned what it is to be a respectable man. And I think I learned that from him. It just took me a long time to figure it out.
But why do you think it takes so long for us to get to that point? I mean, I was in my late 20s before I got that.
Yeah, and it took me a lot longer, and maybe because I was a lot younger when they went through the divorce, so I didn't have the emotional intelligence.
Okay.
That's part of it. I just didn't have the emotional intelligence. I was sat in my feelings, my emotions for so long before I could, take the wool off my eyes and see life for what it is, life for what it was, and then operate from that space.
Okay.
Which allowed me to have the level of respect that I gained over the years. Now, my father passed away, and I was so lucky that I was able to share these sentiments, this conversation, and everything with him before he passed. And I don't mean like right before he passed. I mean, he was still very well and healthy, and we were able to spend this last portion of his life in an amazing space.
That's good.
In an amazing space.
Yeah.
And but it just took me time to understand that he's not superhuman, and I had to account for that.
Right. Yeah. I like you said that. That's something that comes to mind with me now as I'm parenting. Is like I feel like when you're the father, you're viewed as being superhuman and not really having any emotions.
Right.
We're not going to sit up here and talk probably at length about our emotions as men, but I will say, I have emotions just like any other human being. It's just not at the forefront probably of my appearance or my, how I'm coming across. But sometimes I don't think children pick up on that. It's like mother has emotions, but dad, he's straight.
Oh, that's the facade we're supposed to put on. we cannot be out here in these streets in our feelings. We cannot. I mean, we're not supposed to. We're men. We're supposed to be strong, man. We got to present strong. We can't be phased. We gotta be tough. We have to present that way. We're the lions, man. We're the lions of the kingdom, man. We're the kings, and so you got to be strong. You got to project strength. You can't be out here weak. You can't. You can't.
That's interesting. That's an interesting take, right? And I definitely came up on that. However, that's the answer to the question that we have for today. Then, if that's the case, it's like if dad has to be tough and all this other stuff, and he can't, he got to have no emotions and all that, it would be impossible for you to connect with the child the way that the mother does.
And I think that now you're leading into a topic from last season that for me is just one of the most important topics in my life. Gender roles, man. I mean, I think we still on that. Yeah, men are supposed to posture a certain way, for real. And I think we need to own that, man. We need to own that. You own that. You have to be, as a provider and as a protector. I'll say it like this: if you can't handle what you got right now, how you gonna handle what you asking for? Mm-hmm. And so if you crumbling now, then that means you can't handle anymore. So you got to stand strong now. We have to figure out ways, and I don't always get it right, but we have to figure out ways now to be strong, to hold it together, right? Lay it down gently, go deal with the emotional side and come back and pick it up and keep going. Yeah. And somebody said it, I was listening to something this video yesterday. Can you imagine if James Bond came home after a hard day at work and his lady say, "How you doing?" And he was like, "Oh, I got shot at today and a shark almost bit me and I almost drowned." And somebody, it would be a much different James Bond than the Bond that comes and say, "How was your day?" It was like, "Oh, it was fine. I had everything is cool. I'm good." Those are two different individuals.
Right.
You're not going to follow behind the James Bond is complaining about how his day went. You're going to ride with the James Bond and is like, "Man, I took it on the chin. Let's keep going."
That's a fascinating sort of analysis, because that's interesting, because the mother typically is constantly complaining about how their day went, and the kid is still following them. You know what I mean? And keep in mind, mothers out there, we are, how we do on the show. We're not trying to denigrate mothers at all. We both have respect for mothers. I just told you I love my mother more to death, but we're just getting into the topic. Like, what's really good in this situation? And it's like, yeah, your mother's constantly complaining. You don't look at her any kind of way different. But if I complain one time, I remember my kids told me one time, they were like, when you come home, you look like you're upset. And then you just go in your room and, it seems like you're mad. I had no idea that was my disposition, but I may have just had a rough day a couple of days in a row. You know what I mean? Because I always am a type of person, I'll come in, I need a chance to like transition and recharge, and then I'll come back out. You know what I mean? But they were taking it like, "Man, what's wrong with you? What's the problem?" I just don't believe that if their mothers did that they would have taken it that way.
So imagine, okay, so your daughter's fine, but imagine your son growing up to be that dude. Then society says something about your son.
Right.
You weak, dog. You weak. You complaining about this shit, man?
Right.
Like, what?
Exactly.
You supposed to be a man up. And what woman wants a complaining man?
That's right.
So you bound by it. It's right. Like society. So now we going.
Nobody wants to hear it.
Nobody, not from no man.
Right.
Not from a man.
That's right. So I guess you have to just get a therapist or something, huh? Because they might be the only ones that want to hear it. And you got to pay them to listen.
Now you really sticking your toe in some deep water right there when you talk about, because therapy comes up. You pay for a lot of things to go vent your frustrations. That's why men stop at the bar before they get home. That's why men some men get a side piece because she ain't tied to him. She can hit a shit and then take it off his shoulders and he can go home. And that's why men go to strip clubs. That's why men go gamble. That's why men now. And when you start getting into that, but the healthy side of it, and I don't even know if it's the healthy, but what we're saying and going into 2021 is trying to do something different. So now the big word is therapy, right? Or how else are you going to deal with the stressors of the world in a healthy manner that doesn't put your family life in jeopardy?
True.
Right?
And part of that too is, and I had to learn this, sometimes you just have to stand up for yourself, even with your children, and just say, look, you know what? I know I walk around and it might look like I'm whatever and all of that, but guess what? I'm dealing with something right now. And as the man, you have to be man enough to be able to deliver that message to your children and not feel like, well, I shouldn't be saying this to them, or this makes me look weak or anything. There's nothing weak about telling people, look, I'm going through something right now, definitely going to figure it out and hold it down, but I need you to support me right now as I'm trying to navigate through the situation. I feel like as men, we have to get better at saying that and having those types of expectations of the people that are around us to say they love you. Hey, I need some support right now. Just like I'm supporting you, I need some support. And guess what? I'm going to get it done. We're going to take care of everything that we got to take care of. But in order for that to happen, I need you to play your part. And I'm not talking about a woman. I'm talking about to the child.
To the child.
Especially if they're like 9, 10, 11, 12, 17, 18. Look, I need you to hold me down right now.
And I think children it's hard for them to imagine, probably in their mind, what you worried about? Like, you good. Like, what, you ain't got no problems. I got all the problems. And you don't know what I've been through. You don't know what I'm going through. What problems do you have, Dad? You straight. You're not a kid. You're an adult. What problems do you have?
Yeah.
And
we have to tell them like, this is the and yeah, of course you might not share everything, but you could share enough for them to be like, oh, okay. I didn't know that.
I remember my son telling me my 11-year-old son, who I love to death, my man Trent, just not appreciating me working so much, which, he just didn't understand it. He was like, as much as you work, you should be in a mansion. Like, it wasn't even that, but he just didn't understand time, didn't understand the value of money, the cost of things, what it is to run your own business. But he did also help me say, you know what? Maybe he's right. Maybe I am working too much. Maybe I do need to figure out how I'm making more time for him, so he's not growing up thinking that work is more important than spending time with him. Right. So it helped. That conversation did help me better understand and appreciate his perspective. And I think that's a part of being a man too. Understanding other people's perspectives of a situation.
That's a good big part of being a man or a woman.
Yeah.
Being able to empathize and see different points of view. No question.
Yeah.
Now that you made that comment, that leads me to another question I really want to ask you. And maybe this is our burning question for today's episode.
Oh, we got a burning question. Eric's burning question. Now hold up. God dog it. We're gonna get this right. What's the burning question?
The burning question for today is, so we're talking about respect. And what I want to know is it harder to get respect as a father from your daughter or your daughters versus your son? And I thought about that because you're just talking about Trent, and then I'm thinking about my little man, little Eric, great little guy. Not that my daughter isn't, love both of them. However, there is this burning question. It's like, I wonder, do other men feel like, man, to get the respect of my daughter is way more work? It's a lot harder, or is it easier? What do you think?
Well, you know, I'm in a precarious spot because my girls are in their late teens, and so they're adjusting to life right now. And right now, dad just simply and just doesn't understand them right now.
Does mom understand though? I wonder.
No, nobody understands.
Okay, so nobody understands.
Nobody understands them right now. No,
Okay.
nobody understands them right now. And so I'm getting to your answer. Like, is it easier? I don't think. Again, back to the answer is I don't think they really will get it until they're a little bit more mature, later in life, late 20s, 30s, when they've had some experiences and see that mom and dad were not wrong, were not trying to, suffocate them. And I think that's when you get those aha moments. For me, I remember my aha moment came at 26 years old. And I don't remember exactly what I was doing, but I definitely remember saying, you know what? I went to my mother and I was like, I am so sorry for a lot of the things that I've done. I get it. I totally get it. You've been right this whole time. And so that was that transition for me, respecting my mom and starting to respect my dad. At that point, this is like, it clicked at 26 years old for me. When I was like, okay, I get it. But I think right now they're in a very, very, they're in that phase of their life that I just got to wait till it clicks for them when they say, you know what? It wasn't you. I was kind of just tripping. Like, you were right. You were right about a lot of stuff.
I want to push you a little bit further, and I know you're not shy about declining if you feel like it's not in your best interest. But I do want to know, do you think that Trent will get the respect faster than your daughters?
The respect of me?
So we're talking about having the same respect for mom versus dad, and you've explained that right now,
yeah,
everybody's kind of feeling like whatever, but we still know that mom probably still got a little more respect.
She got it. His mom has it more than me.
But Trent will get it before his sisters.
Oh yeah. So Trent sees, Trent has told me out of his mouth, he feels like he needs to protect his mom. Okay. His affinity is to his mom right now.
It is. I get
period, it. Point blank. And I get it. And I get it. And I have fostered that.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. Take care of your mom. Right. Take care of those ladies. Take care of you. You the man over there now. I'm not in the house anymore.
Right.
But so I've fostered that, And Trent sees me holding it down. I mean, he sees me holding it down. He's like, Dad, you good. I see you. You good.
Yeah.
You good. I see you. So yeah, his mom, he's and that's fine right now.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing on that. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah. What about you? What about you? Because you have are you so share if whatever you're willing to share, do you feel like your children are giving you the same respect or equal respect that they're giving their moms?
No, I don't. But I do think the overall the respect is there, but do I think it's the same? No.
Okay.
And that's part of why, I want you and I came together and like, hey, you know what, this really, because this is personal, you know what I mean? It's definitely not the same, no, because it's just and I think this is helpful for me too, because it's like, even though I've kind of contemplated this, I have a little bit more ammunition in my own mind as to why. Because I never like to be a person to try to, in my mind, like I'm a victim or anything like that, because that's not the case. We're not really talking about a victim situation. We're just talking about feeling like a little bit like, man, I wish I could get the same props as the mother. Who wouldn't want that as a human being? Not even more props, just the same.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I've certainly feel that, but my children definitely love me, and I totally get that. But we're not talking about love. We're talking about the same respect as the mother, and I'm not going to skirt around that. I do not feel that.
Are you okay with it, even though you don't feel it?
No, I'm not okay with it. I'm not okay with it at all. And now I can understand how my dad might have felt. I mean, he wasn't okay with it either.
A little slighted, huh?
Sure, man. Sure. I mean, most men out there, I'm sure they feel a little something if they're willing, if they care to admit it, they don't really like that. But
yeah,
I think I understand it, but that doesn't mean I have to like it.
I'll tell you this. This is what I do to make me feel better about myself in moments like this. And I just said this yesterday. I was talking to my mom, and I was like, look, it's their life. It's not my life. They'll be fine. They have to live their life, and they have to have their experiences. And I'm very, very reassured in how I operate, and I know from which space I operate, and I'm good with that.
Yeah,
I'm good with it. And so I don't feel any way. I mean, I do, but I'm not. It's okay. I'm okay with it. I work to be okay with it. I'm good. It's like, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
It's a good perspective to have. My father gave me some so even though my relationship with my father is sort of up and down, but he still has given me some of the best advice in many regards that I could ever receive. And one day he told me I was having some problems in the relationship, and part of that was with the children situation. And he told me, he said, you know what? Let me tell you what your role is as the father. He said, you need to be prepared to give to your children, your wife, and anybody else in that family, and not expect anything in return.
Yeah.
That's your job as a man. He said, because otherwise you're going to be a very disappointed, bitter, and upset person. He said, give everything that you got, do exactly what you feel like you need to do for your family, but don't expect anything in return.
Wow.
And that was some great advice. And I don't want to sit here and act like I haven't gotten anything in return. My children love me, and we've had some great experiences. But keeping that in the back of my mind, it helps me to kind of manage my expectations.
That's dope. That's good. I've never heard that advice before. I think I've come to that conclusion a couple of times, but I've never heard that. So let's switch it up a little bit. What's the best Father's Day gift you've ever received from your children?
The best Father's Day gift, I'll say my daughter got me a trophy one year. It was World's Best Dad.
Nice.
She got it from, I don't know, I think her mother were in another country or something, but she brought it back. That was, I don't know, I think at that moment I needed that. You know what I mean? It was about that big. And we actually were living somewhere and it got burned all the way to the ground. And that got burned. And my daughter actually went and got me another one a couple of years later. I was like, Dad, I want to make sure I got this for you. So I have it now. But that was the one that I remember the most, and I really appreciated that.
I bet you did. That ought to be enough right there, right?
It was great, man. That was great. So,
That's great. That's great. That's great. Good.
What about you? Best Father's Day gift.
The best Father's Day gift was from my son Trent.
Okay.
And he's only 11 now, but it's the best. It's a couple of years ago when he created a poster for me, and he drew me on the poster, and it was just, hey Dad, I want you to know I love you, man. I see you. He drew a poster of me. It was some superhero. I'm supposed to be a superhero, and it was a childlike image of just a super dad, and I love you, and happy Father's Day. That was it for me. I don't have any real requests for anything over Father's Day. I think one of the other best gifts that I received from one of my daughters was a T-shirt, like World's Best Dad.
Those are nice. Yeah, those are nice to get.
All right, at least I'm being acknowledged. All right,
no doubt.
Great.
Feel warm and fuzzy for a few minutes. You know what I mean? Ain't nothing wrong with that. That reminds me of something my son did that I used. It wasn't a Father's Day gift. It was just something that I liked. I guess it stroked my ego. But my son used to go around when he's 12 now. When he's like 8, 7, 8, he would go around and tell all his teachers, "My dad is rich."
Nice.
And whether it was true or not, it doesn't even matter.
Right.
Like, I just liked it. You know, he's like, my dad's rich. You know, and one of the teachers had a conversation with me about that, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know he was. He was like, yeah, he says that all the time about my dad, and it was just cool that he saw me in that way. You know what I mean? Like I might have had $2 at the time. I don't know. It just made me feel good that he viewed me in that way. So that was dope.
And so let me also not skirt around the fact that I know for damn sure, one of the things that I look for and desire is the stroking of the ego.
Okay.
And I've been over the years, people have tried to make me think that was a bad thing. Yeah, you just want your ego stroked. And I used to try to, well, maybe I should. I do.
I've never heard anybody admit that. Until today.
Yeah, man, I do. I want to say compliments to get you everything. You know what I mean? So let me just say to my children who are watching and children who have parents, go stroke your dad's ego.
Yeah, no
it's
doubt.
Gonna get you further. Get you a lot.
No doubt.
And ladies, mothers, ladies, please stroke your man's ego.
True indeed. No doubt. Very, very great strategy for anybody, no doubt. This episode is powered by Nelson Career Curators.
Indeed.
NelsonCareerCurators.com. If you are interested in moving your career forward, please give them a call, schedule an appointment. Being strategic about your career has so many different benefits. It actually puts more money in your pocket. It gives you a great sense of confidence. And anytime you have a roadmap in your career, just allows you to get further. If you are a business owner, executive coaching is available to you from Nelson Career Curators. Give them a call. Betty Nelson is the CEO. They will take care of you and get you where you want to go. Do what you love, not what you must, is their mantra. Nelson Career Curators.
And Betty says, I agree.
I agree. Now, I don't know if she was agreeing to that. She was agreeing to something.
But she agrees.
Shout out to Betty Nelson, no doubt. And this has been a very therapeutic conversation. I knew it would be. I think I learned a couple of things in this conversation. What are your takeaways before we get into characters from corporate?
A couple of takeaways from me. Give everything you have to your family with nothing, the expectations of nothing in return. I think that was my largest takeaway from today. That's one to grow on.
Okay.
What about you?
I'm going to take mine out of your book. You made a comment about seeing things from other people's perspective. I want to continue to work on that skill. It's easy to say, but to execute that at a high level, I would love to be able to do that. And I feel like it would make, I continue to work on my parenting skills. That's something that would definitely put me on another level as a father. I like that. View other people's perspectives and try to understand it.
Yeah, that's big, man. That's big. We'll keep working at that together.
Yeah, no doubt.
No doubt. All right, so we got characters from corporate.
Characters from corporate.
Last week's. No, we didn't do it last week, did we? It was was that last week? Okay, so last week was great. The woman who had a entanglement with some.
Yeah, she had an entanglement on the job and
entanglement.
Yeah.
What do we have for this week's edition of characters from corporate?
All right. So I've been waiting to do this all week. This is really, I don't know, it's exciting for me. Maybe that's a bad thing, but I don't know, but I like this. Okay, so characters from corporate. So we got a submission you know, we don't reveal names and all that, so I'm not going to get into that. But this is a Black female. She is from Brooklyn, New York, and she is age 35. Okay, so here's her characters from corporate submission. I'm going to try to do this some justice. All right. So me and my colleague went out to lunch together. We met this really nice guy. He was very nicely dressed and extremely handsome. Okay. He started talking to me specifically, and he ended up giving me his phone number, and we went out the next day.
Wow.
This dude must have been really spitting it.
Wow.
So we had a really nice dinner date, and we ended up dating for 2 months, and I really liked this dude. I really liked him. Now, in my career, I'm a director for the communication department in a media company, okay? And at some point, the vice president of this media company department, so she was in the community, let me get this right. So she's the director in a communications department of a Fortune 500 company. And she's saying that at a certain point, who she was reporting to was the vice president. The vice president quit. Okay, so the vice president left. Now, they started this whole process, and apparently she was part of it. She's saying to find a new vice president.
Okay.
Now, keep in mind, she's dating this guy. They dated for 2 months. So they kept interviewing people, and then at a certain point, she walked into the boardroom for the next interview, and who was sitting there?
Uh-oh.
It is the guy that she was dating. And so she says that she was extremely upset as soon as she saw him because he never mentioned the fact that he was going for the position. He definitely knew I worked at this company. He knew what department I worked in. He never said anything. Oh. So she was professional. She did her part of the interview. But then when the interview was over and the day was over, she said, I called this guy and he would not answer the phone at all. And so they ended up hiring this guy, she says, and he became my vice president. Still, he never called me back. She said that when he got there and he started doing his duties as the vice president, he acted like they never dated. He acted like they didn't even know each other. And on top of that, she said that he would consistently give her more work than other people and try to berate her publicly in front of the other employees. And she's like wondering now, should she leave this company? So this guy, he really sounds like a character from corporate. So they dated. He figured out about this position. He went for the position. He never said anything to her about it. He ended up getting hired. Now, they had dated for 2 months. Ended up getting hired as the VP, and he acted like he didn't even know the woman at all. Character, is he a character from corporate? Because I don't want to assume that you think he's a character. Is that being a character from corporate? Wow. Or no? Is he just playing the political game, the corporate game?
This is what I got to say about it so far. He blew the spot up. He blew the spot up.
Okay.
Wow, man, that's heavy, man. I mean,
pretty heavy.
That's pretty heavy, man. I wonder what he was thinking.
I don't know. So we had the other submission in this one too. I always think about what I would have done in that situation. So if I was dating a woman for 2 months and then come to find out she was submitted an application for a position, she was going through the interview process, and she didn't even tell me. And then on top of that, she's going to be my direct, like I got to report to her. How would I feel? I feel like I got played. I mean,
well,
I don't know how else to feel.
I think there is a piece where it's like, look, let me play devil's advocate. Maybe he didn't know. Maybe he didn't know. Maybe he didn't know. Maybe he didn't know. And he
Maybe
got
he didn't know what though.
Maybe he didn't know. Maybe he didn't know her. I don't know. Maybe he didn't know that she was going to be his direct, or he was going to be her direct.
Okay.
Maybe he didn't know. And then when he found out, he just didn't want any nepotism or any favors. He wanted to get and maybe he made the decision, like, if I get this position and I got to stop rocking with her, I got to keep it 100% professional. But I'm so glad my mom, told me, man, don't play at work. Man. You don't play at work. You don't want those. That's a problem, man. That's a problem. It's unsavory. I don't like that. I don't like that.
Yeah, but that's kind of
it's shady.
It's
shady. It's a little shady.
Homeboy is definitely a character from corporate.
He's a character from corporate.
Yeah, that's the spirit in which we created this segment. I mean, people in corporate that are just mad shady. It is shady. They do a lot of espionage type situations.
Now, did he sleep his way to the top?
That's a good question, because now I wonder, and I'm sure she did too. It's like, did he mess with her just so he could get some info?
And why didn't she call him out on it? Why didn't she say, because then she would have put herself out there.
She would look crazy. You know what I mean?
So I guess she's in those situations. Do you think those people are just as guilty as the offending party?
I don't. I mean, because how we talk about people being stereotyped in gender roles. I mean, if she was to come out and say something, she'll just look like a woman that's complaining about her lover or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a good look for her as a leader to even let that be known. I mean, if he's not saying nothing, I definitely don't think it's a good look for her to say anything.
I like my mom's advice. Do not mess around at work. You can mess around and be in some uncompromising, uncomfortable situations, and you just don't want it. It never really turns out well.
No.
It never really turns out well.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
This is an interesting one, because the guy, from what I gathered, he wasn't in this company initially, but then he got in the company. And I think what you just said answers her question, which is, should I leave? So he wasn't in the company. Now he is, obviously. Yeah, I think you should leave.
Damn.
Because it's too messy.
Why she gotta leave?
Well, I'm going off of what you said. Don't do this at work. I mean, it's gonna, I feel like at a certain point, if they're both there, it's gonna get messy. It's gonna come out. It's gonna be a problem.
Now I want to know. Okay, so she got to let it go. Then it's got to be a thing. She got to put it in the past. She can't. If he's not saying anything, if he's acting like this, she's got to throw it away too. Yeah. Chalk it up and leave it alone. I think at this point, if he's, now this extra work stuff, I don't know if that's real or perception, but if everything else is on the up and up professional, he stopped messing with her, he got the position, and he got it on his own merit.
Right.
Then now she got to chalk it up. Your loss, baby girl. But he is the character from corporate.
True indeed. Because we also don't really know when he put it together.
Right.
That she was in this position, in this role, and all of that. Like, she could have been telling him whatever, but he may not have been paying attention. Sometimes as men, we hear stuff, but we like, yeah, okay. But then he might have put it together later. Like, oh, well, she is. Okay. Right. We don't know when he put that together, just to give him the benefit of it.
And then why would he would he be afraid to ask her, like, yo, I'm about to go for this position. Can you put in a good word? Did he think that maybe she would be like, nah, brother, I don't. So then he just kept quiet. And maybe that was a real thing.
Yeah.
Maybe he threw a scenario and she was like, you know what? I wouldn't hire somebody I'm sleeping with. And he was like, nah, I can't say nothing. I just gotta go in there and get this position. And then, so yeah, I think right now she has to leave it alone, chalk it up, lesson learned. It was a great master's degree course you just took,
No doubt. Corporate strategy.
Yeah, take it on the chin.
No
but Dude is a character from corporate. Great story. Great story.
Yeah, that was interesting. I mean, it's a lot of different ways we could look at that. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say this one last thing about it. He may not have just wanted to be beholden to her either. Like, instead of for him to, he probably was like, nah, I'm not gonna ask her to put in a good word. Either I get it on my own merit or I don't get it.
Yeah.
Because then if you put in a good word, now I gotta stay with you because you helped me and all
right.
That.
And maybe he even said, look, if I get it, I ain't gonna mess with it no more. If I don't get it, I can keep rocking with her.
Exactly.
All right, we try.
Characters from corporate, we like that. Now, fellas, we want to hear from you all too. So the last two were from the ladies. They're very good. I want to hear some characters from corporate stories from the men out there. Black men, especially, would be interesting. We definitely are out there holding it down in corporate. So send us your stories.
Yeah.
We can talk about it.
And for sending in your story, you will receive a Money Sex Gen X podcast gift swag bag.
Swag bag, yes. Some nice swag too.
Yeah, we got a t-shirt. I drink my little. We got coffee mugs. We have some stickers over here.
Yeah.
Long
sleeve. You got long sleeve tees, short sleeve tees.
Long sleeve tees over here.
You got the lapel pin. I got one on the back of my hat here.
Yeah.
Got one on this shirt. They're nice. So
Yep. So thank you for your submission.
Yep.
For the Money Sex Gen X podcast, episode 3, season 2.
Yes, sir. It's been a great episode. So thank you all for tuning in. We will be back next week. Do you remember the topic for next week?
Do I remember the topic for next week? I
don't.
Well, it takes me less than 30 seconds to pull it.
Let's tell the people what the topic is.
You know what? Do you want to tell them all of our topics for the remaining of the season, or should we just keep them?
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
All right. So next week. Next week, October 4th. The topic is, and I'm remixing this, Eric.
Okay.
It's the topic on record is, why are you still dating as a Gen Xer? The remix is dating over 40.
Dating over 40. What? Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
that's great. I like that.
October 11th, top producers, dead or alive.
Yeah, and I like that one. Top music producers, dead or alive. Yes.
October 18th, we have a guest scheduled on our show, the good Dr. Dave, cardiologist, Dr. Dave Montgomery.
Okay.
And the topic is men and sex over 40. It's our health and wellness edition.
Okay.
And then our final season finale, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you the topic for the season finale, which is November 1st. I'm not going to tell you that topic.
Okay.
It's a banger of a topic. So
can't wait.
Yeah. Dating. Are you still dating as a Gen Xer for next week? / dating over 40.
Okay.
That's what we got on deck.
Can't wait. So you all join us for that. Hope you all enjoy the rest of your week. We are signing off. Peace.